Hello, fans of Scholastic and fans of books. This is Book Party. I'm Connie. I am the social media manager for Scholastic, and we're excited to have some really great guests on Book Party today. So while we wait for our guests to join in, I see Katie here. Just let me know when you have requested that you would like to join, and we'll get started. In the meantime, drop in the chat what you guys are trying to do for or characters you guys are excited to be. So just come on in while we get our authors on. Hi, Katie. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Amazing. Welcome to Book Party.
Thanks for having me.
Sure.
So
We've
excited.
got Tracy and Alex coming in, so very excited to get started with you guys. How was your day today, Katie?
Oh, it's been good. Yeah, pretty relaxing.
Amazing. Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Connie. Hi, Katie. Hi, Alexander.
Hi.
How's it going, you guys?
Great.
Amazing. Welcome to Book Party. You guys have new books out in the world, so we're going to celebrate them like we're at a birthday party. In order to get started, why don't you each tell us about your books and about who you are. So, Katie, you joined us first. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm Katie Zhao, middle grade author. I've written the Dragon Warrior series, and my latest middle grade release is Last Gamer Standing. It just came out, was it 2 weeks ago? I can't keep track of time.
No one can these days.
Yeah, and it's like Fortnite inspired middle grade sci-fi with a Chinese American main character who enters this battle royale virtual reality tournament, and she's just in it to win it all. And so you get to follow her along her journey in the tournament as she battles a bunch of unknown opponents. Am I supposed to say more about myself? I live in New York now, but I was born and raised in Michigan.
Nice. Alex, let's go to you next.
Hi. I'm Alex London. I'm the author of, this is going to sound absurd, but I've lost count how many books. But because some of them are very short. I don't know.
It happens.
But
once you become really prolific, you just lose count.
Yeah, exactly. We should all
Goals.
Exactly.
But my latest is Battle Dragons, City of Thieves, the first in a series that is basically the Fast and the Furious meets Wings of Fire. It's
that is the best description.
I just took all the things I love and mashed them into a book. So it's fantasy, it's sci-fi, it's a story about surviving middle school, it's a story about surviving competing gangsters who control your neighborhood, it's about surviving your family when they have competing interests from yours, but you love them all dearly, but don't necessarily always get along. It's about surviving middle school and it's about surviving giant armed dragon battles. It's set in a futuristic city where dragons sort of rule. Everything is done around dragons. Dragons are the taxis. Dragons are the buses and the freight trucks, and they run the factories. But they are also battled in illegal midnight street fights between the four gangs called In that control the criminal underworld of this city. And our hero Abel is 13 years old, and he gets caught up in the midnight dragon battles when he discovers that his sister is actually a prolific dragon thief for one of the gangs. His brother is an undercover cop trying to capture the gangs, and he is caught in the middle of it all and has to learn to ride a giant murderous stolen dragon to try and save everybody, even if they don't want to be saved. And it's a problem because he's also dealing with anxiety, ADHD, and a fear of heights, which is not flying a giant murderous dragon against it.
No, the combination's not great.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Tracy, how about you?
Okay, so, normally I write books about dragons.
Yes,
so,
all of you
anybody who likes Dragon Masters.
Get to it.
Yeah.
I got
books about dragons. I'm ready.
It's the Dragon Author Night, so I have to check out all these books now. now. But today I'm celebrating The Underdogs, which is a collaboration with illustrator Kyla May. You may know Kyla as the creator of the Diary of a Pug series for Scholastic Branches, and she's awesome at illustrating dogs. And so this is a series about 4 dog friends who live in Barksdale, where everybody wants to be best in show and everybody thinks they're the best. And our 4 characters, Nova, Duke, Harley, and Peanut, are really not the best at anything. And so this first book is their journey to sort of learning that you don't have to be the best at everything or anything to be awesome. And they are awesome. So it's a really, I spent a lot of time with my dogs.
Are they here? You promised that the dogs would be
I have 4 2-year-old dogs who are very, I didn't want them to kind of bark and we couldn't hear everybody speaking, but it doesn't mean they can't make an appearance, you know, maybe at the right time.
Amazing. Thank you all for joining. We're very excited to have your books be out in the world. You all have them. We're very excited. So I'm just going to ask you some questions about your books and feel free to just have a natural conversation as we go. I'm going to start with you, Katie. Are you a gamer in real life? Is this based on like your gamer experiences, your gamer fantasies? Like tell us about how you came into writing a story about a gamer girl.
Yeah, so I used to be more of a gamer when I was younger because now that I'm older, it's hard to find time for anything. And so the funny thing is that the game in the book, Dayhold, is based off of Fortnite, which is, you know, like a battle royale kind of game. But I'm like a coward when it comes to those games. Like I can't play them because they freak me out. But I like, because when I'm gaming, I want to play something that's like relaxing.
Yes.
So like I have a lot of fun writing like battle royale, like intense tournament stories.
You don't have to do it. You just need to write it.
Right. So I had so much fun with that. But the good thing is that like other like gamer readers have commented that the world of Dayhold feels very much like a game because, and I think it's because I've, you know, played other games like Pokemon, Mario, Breath of the Wild, Animal Crossing, just like a lot of like random games here and there, like since I was younger and like now. So a lot of like the details in the game that aren't just like the fighting and like tournament rounds, like they're taken and modeled from other games that I've played. So yeah, that was like kind of like how my gaming knowledge helped to shape the game. But unfortunately, I myself am not a battle royale kind of gal. Like, I think if I tried to play Dayhold, I'd be eliminated in round 1. But this is my book. It's my world, and in my world,
you can decide that you win. Thank you. I'm glad we are on the same page here. How did like the, I guess like parental fear of like gamer culture and sort of like the good and the bad play into how you came about to like write this story?
Yeah, definitely. Like I really wanted to tackle elements of gamer culture that affected me when I was younger and that I feel like, you know, haven't really changed even though I'm an adult now. So some of the things I tackled was like the way these spaces aren't very safe for female or like female presenting gamers. That was something I think that turned me off of like joining online gaming spaces when I was younger. Like I would play, but I would play with like my friends who I knew in real life.
Right.
Like that was safe to me. And like I remember like I would like go onto like message boards and stuff and I would just like look at what people were saying and I'd just be like some of these comments are like really like sexist and just like I just didn't want any part of that. So it was important to me to like, you know, write about a strong female gamer in this book. And she's also very aware of what's happening to her because even when I was like 12 years old, like Reina, the main character in Last Gamer Standing, I was very aware that these spaces they weren't welcoming to people who looked like me. And I've read other gamer books, but I'd never read any gamer books with like, you know, a Chinese American like female gamer. And so, you know, as somebody who wanted to write one of these books, I thought it was important to just talk about like what it was really like for me growing up and just like gazing inside these communities and like seeing what was going on. I kind of wanted to talk about these issues. And I think they're very relevant to kids today who are very involved in the gaming world. And, you know, I hope the girl gamers who pick up this book will, you know, kind of see like themselves reflected in the story and see like, oh yeah, I can totally make it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Reina's in it to win it. Like she's all in. She's like a superstar.
Yeah, I'm not. As I play the cozy games, the Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
the Pokemon, that kind of stuff. So the competitive gaming, that is not my thing. But I think if no matter what kind of game you play, you can see yourself in her. Especially when it's like, okay, gaming culture nowadays is like you can win things, you can win money, like you can make a career out of it, and so. You know, all those pieces are things that I think kids could relate to for sure.
Yeah, and I think like especially with like the gamers who switch on, they stream on like Twitch, or like YouTube, like all these social media platforms, like they're making so much money, and I think it's kind of the future that like people who are really good at social media, who have a talent with gaming and like are streaming, I mean, they're already making a ton of money. And like when you talk to kids these days, they're like, oh, I want to be a YouTube star. I want to be a streamer, right? So, you know, I feel like writing a gaming book right now that talks about gaming as a potential like income source. Because in this book, esports is like the biggest, hottest sports in the world. I just think it's very relevant and like a very cool topic. And I hope, you know, kids kids will like see like themselves reflected in this book and be excited about it, because I think there are a lot of possibilities. But again, with like the possibilities of like esports and online gaming, of course there are also going to be like some drawbacks, and you know, some of those I like discuss in the book.
Yeah. Turning to you, Alex, you're
I just want to say I dig that so much. I think it's so key in middle grade, especially for writers across all middle grade genres, to deal with gaming, right? Gaming is such a huge part of young people's lives now. To pretend it doesn't exist or doesn't play a role in their lives or their world or their perceptions or whatever, just seems silly to me. It wouldn't feel real or true or honest.
Right.
So I love that you've set a whole world in that. Gaming plays Battle Dragons, but it's not obviously the center, but like the kids play a Pokemon type card game that then has
that's so cool.
For their real
dragon. Kind of pivot to that. It's like I was gonna pivot to that because it is very Pokemon-like, and but I think you know, as opposed to like a cozy game, the stakes are higher because there are like real dragons and real battles and stuff like that. So talk to us about like where those influences that inspired this Pokemon gaming inspiration, and were games like a huge inspiration for this story?
It's funny. So I want it to read like a video game. Like part of my goal is to get those kids.
The cover definitely accomplishes that.
Oh yeah, I could not be happier with the cover. The artist, designer, killed it, and the book. I feel so well served by that cover because it feels like the book I imagine. Like it's just perfect. I'm blown away, and I really wanted it to be for those kids who maybe didn't necessarily think of themselves as like readers, but could really get in, and it should be fun and action-packed and visual and exciting and have lots of cool settings, which was the kind of stuff I loved when I was younger. But funny enough, I'm like you with the cozy games. My favorite was Sim City. I love being a city, which is what I got to do in Battle Dragons. I mean, the city of Dracopolis itself is like another character.
True.
And I had the most fun building that and then just setting scenarios in motion, you know, within it. So in a way, SimCity was more of an influence than any other game, even though it reads more like a racing game or
like a higher action-packed game.
Yeah, but then like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering played a role in the development of the card game the kids play and in the thinking about dragons. As I had to design each breed of dragon and think about what they could do and what they couldn't do and why you would pit different dragons against each other and how you would soup them up and you know what role Vin Diesel could play in the movie adaptation.
Obviously, yeah.
I had a lot of fun thinking about that in a very like Pokemon way. I wanted to create a taxonomy of dragons that, you know, you're not necessarily going to get all on the page, but that creates enough space for kids who are reading it to be like, oh, I want to classify my dragons and collect all those Reapers. Or no, I'm more of a Wyvern guy. thorn wyvern, and I want the silver poison wyvern, and I want all the different wyverns. And like I wanted to create that kind of like collect them thing.
That's awesome.
Which was
That's very cool. I think switching to you, Tracy, the Underdogs it could be a cozy game. Just going on the art, it could be a great cozy game. Just like dogs walking around the city. I think that would be so fun. Tell us about
I would
your
play that game.
inspiration for this, right?
Me
Like
too.
I think we all would. Tell us more about your inspiration for the Underdogs, and are your dogs inspirations for the Underdogs?
Yes,
We all need to know.
absolutely. So I was sort of invited to join the Underdogs team. Kyla May and Scholastic got it started first, and they sort of said, all right, we've got some characters, see what you could do with them. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about my own dogs. I currently have 4 adopted dogs. I've had a lot more dogs in my life, and I started thinking about my dogs and their personalities, and my friends' dogs, my family dogs, and trying to think of all the funny, but also kind of genuinely weird, puzzling things that dogs do sometimes. And so, especially in creating the 4 main characters, Peanut here is very close to my heart. He is modeled after my Chihuahua Pee-wee, who I had for 17 years, and
Pee-wee
was my best friend. And Peanut the Chihuahua is a little fussy and doesn't like to get dirty, but he's also really funny. And then Harley reminds me, it was sort of modeled after my dog Louise, who's around tonight, and she's like a corgi lab Boston Terrier mix, and she's got like amazing energy and just chases after everything. And so that's sort of like Harley. And then, if you've ever known a yellow lab dog, the boundless energy and enthusiasm and joy for life that they have. And that is absolutely Nova. And then Duke here, I've never had or encountered a bulldog before, but he's just so cute. We had to have a bulldog as part of the foursome, and he's a strong guy, but he's a little bit afraid of things. Like, he's not really crazy about that ladybug on his.
Oh, poor thing. What was it like working with Kyla May in illustrating this book? Like, you said that you were coming onto the project, so were the creations there? Were you able to influence how the dogs look based on like your writing of the characters? Like, tell us how that process goes.
Exactly. There was kind of a lot of back and forth in the beginning, where there were some characters that I was given the freedom to play around with a little bit. And so, I definitely knew I had to have a dog like my dog Pee-wee in there somewhere. And so, I was given a little freedom. So it was a lot of back and forth and give and take. And then anything you give Kyla, she just, gives it so much personality. And then I was able to work with the kind of personality she gave the dogs just in the art. You can look at the illustration she creates and oh, well, that dog has an attitude, or that dog, that dog's really smart, just by looking at him. So it was a really nice process.
That's awesome. All right. I've gotten all of you to talk about your current books, but now it's time to talk about dragons, because you've all written about dragons, and I think that's so cool. So I guess each of you, what drew you to writing about dragons? Like, why were you drawn to that kind of story? Katie, you can go first.
Yeah, sure. So, I guess like I've always been fascinated by dragons, and maybe I should explain like my book first. So the Dragon Warrior is basically like Percy Jackson with Chinese mythology, and it follows the adventures of the protagonist Farron as she takes on this quest throughout Chinatowns and has to save the world. And like Percy Jackson, there's like this infusion of mythology. There's like Chinese gods and goddesses. And there are Chinese dragons. And to me, I feel like dragons, well, they are like one of the most special creatures in Chinese culture. They're very revered. You know, they're said to like, there are so many legends about them. They're said to like control the rains. They're said to bring fortune. You know, there are legends about them like controlling like rivers and waterways. And so, you know, I kind of just wanted to like write a book that was really just like a celebration of growing up Chinese American. And, you know, a lot of it came from research that I did about Chinese culture when I grew up, and just wanted to learn more about this culture that had been part of me for so long. And yeah, like I just think dragons are so cool, and
I just think they're neat.
they really are. I'm trying to think of like a better way to like explain why I wrote books about dragons, and I'm like, they're just really cool.
They're just really cool. And
They're really cool. Yeah. Yeah. They symbolize so much in Chinese culture. I just feel like it's hard to write a super Chinese book without at least mentioning dragons somewhere. But yeah.
How about you, Tracy? I mean, you go from dragons to dogs. Like, I feel like it's like these like great giant creatures to like, you know, like your puppies at home.
Yeah, that's a bit of a leap, but a lot of it just has to do with I guess knowing what I love and I'm passionate about, and I've always been really interested in mythology and mythological creatures. And my first series was called Pixie Tricks, and that was about all kinds of fairy creatures. And like to what Alex was saying, early in my career, I wrote a lot of Pokemon books. I wrote a lot of Pokemon chapter books. Nice. So I along with him, you do see that how kids respond to different kinds of creatures, and knowing what their powers are, and knowing what makes each one different and special. And so that was part of the thought process with coming up with Dragon Masters. And you know, the other part was honestly, Scholastic has a line called Branches, which I write for, and Branches are chapter books that help kids transition into chapter book reading, because they're very exciting or funny, and they have illustrations on every page. And I was asked if I could come up with a serious fantasy for 6-year-olds, because a lot of books about dragons there's wonderful books about dragons for 6-year-olds. Most of them are cute and funny. And I was given the task, can you come up with serious fantasy? So that 6-year-olds can get into and understand and follow along with the story. And that was like my challenge. And I just dug into my collection of books and read about all different kinds of dragons, and that's where that started.
It went from there.
And you nailed it. Those are like the perfect dragon books for that age. They're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Alex, you were mentioning that you have like different kinds of dragons in your story, and that it's sort of like the Pokemon catch 'em all idea. Is it like Pokemon where it's like this type of dragon can beat this type of dragon because it has, you know, like in Pokemon it's like poison type versus fairy type, etc. Like
sort of, but not that
come
simple.
up with that kind of system for your dragons? Like, what inspired you to create the dragons that you create?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I mean, I like to keep. It's not so simple as like this always beats this. You know, it has to do with the rider and their inner life and all of that, and luck and all of those things. So it's a little more complicated. Certain things give them an advantage, and they can counter powers with other powers. For designing the powers, I really just went with what would be really cool. Like, that was my only guiding.
That
really
seems
cool.
to be the trend here. Like,
and then I had to think through the world building of it. Like, none of my dragons are psychic or anything, because I was like, that would screw things up too much. So I have to think like, okay, they're in a city. I can't give them powers that would blow up the entire city. What can I do that makes sense for the world? But fundamentally, so like while the dragons themselves were just like, what's cool? Picking dragons in general for me, I mean, similar to what you all said, I think it's so interesting that dragons, you know, kids are so drawn to dragons, and humans have conjured dragons in every time and in every culture on Earth. We've created dragons, and I think it's because we're so drawn. I think dragons are like a manifestation of power, right? Like dragons are power, whether it's luck or control of the rain or blasting fire or whatever it is. They are the most powerful.
Gold,
yeah, like operate like externalization psychologically of power. And when you're a kid, especially when you're like a middle schooler, you don't feel like you have a lot of power even as you crave it. And so this idea of pairing, a middle schooler with a dragon and giving them power through a dragon was a great literary device for me to explore all the normal stuff that's going on in the mind of, 11, 10 or 11 through 13, 14-year-olds, but using the dragons to externalize that struggle, the power you have, how dangerous it feels, also how exciting and awesome, because I don't think power changes who you are, but I do think power reveals who you are. And so I think if you really want to know someone, give them a dragon and see what they do.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually a really great way to think about it, especially when you're teaching that lesson to children and like showing them that lesson, because it is the manifestation of power, like you said. That's really great.
There's a point in the story where Abel has to ask a favor of this one group. I'm trying to say this without spoilers, but he has to ask a favor of one group of people, and he goes to like ask them this favor that is dangerous for them if they say yes, and he wants to give them a choice. And he also realizes he's got a 15-ton Sunrise Reaper and incinerate them all standing right in their apartment building. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm not giving them the opportunity to say no. How do I navigate this? Like, if they say yes, I want them to have the choice to say yes, not just because they're telling them all
because of fear. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how do I do that? How do I navigate the power that I now realize I have? Which I think is a hard thing to do for anyone at any age.
For sure. Absolutely. We're getting close to time. I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening, but in book party tradition, because it is a book birthday party, now that your book is published, let's go around and say, what do you wish for your book now that it's out in the world? Like, what do you wish? You can take that however you like. What do you wish kids will get out of it? What impression do you think it makes? What do you hope it does for you? Any of those. I'm going to start with Tracy.
Okay, so as I hope that kids will learn to appreciate the parts of themselves that aren't perfect by reading this. And I think we all need to do that.
For sure.
And I also hope that this might spur people to adopt some dogs because
that's a great thing
literally two of my dogs, Mimsy and Moxie, are they're Australian cattle dogs who were they failed their herding test when they were puppies, and they got sent to an animal shelter because of that. So, that makes me it breaks my heart to think of that. Yeah. And they're my real life underdogs, and they bring me so much love and joy every day. So, I hope maybe some dogs will benefit from this book too.
That's amazing. You got like the little pricklies in my eyes.
Aww.
That's very sweet. How about you, Alex?
I hope Battle Dragons will inspire people to adopt some dragons.
I wish. I totally would.
No, I hope it's fun for kids. I hope they just have a great, rollicking, good time. And I hope with some of the characters and the complex stuff they're dealing with, I hope it gives an access point for kids to realize they can bring their full selves to their heroism. That you can bring everything you're going through, everywhere you're from, who you are, how you feel, all of those things, and still be a hero. And you get to be the action hero and ride the dragons and do all the stuff. You get to be your full self. And in terms of what I hope it does for me, is that it sells 40 billion copies and becomes a movie franchise, and I get a beach house.
And Vin Diesel gets to play a character in the movie.
Yeah. He can play the dragon. He can play whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants. We'll call him up. And how about you, Katie?
For Last Gamer Standing, I guess I hope it gets gamers interested in reading, because I feel like there could be so much crossover there, but I feel like some of the gamers I knew when I was growing up weren't into reading. But if you think about it, games have so many similar there's so much crossover there. It's just a different form of storytelling. And so I hope the gamers out there who are less prone to pick up books will see a gaming book and they'll get excited. I hope that girl gamers will be excited to see a book about a girl gamer, because I can't think of very many that I've ever read or heard
Yeah.
of. What
Yeah,
else?
dedicated to for all the gamer girls who struggle to find
Yeah.
their place in the gaming world. You belong and you rock. I love that. I love that dedication.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope like, you know, parents will also like be willing to give this book to their kids because I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, my parents were like not that like they still bought my siblings and me games, but they were like, you should be like finding something else to occupy your
More
time.
productive, something more
Right.
productive to do, or you should be
Right.
doing something else. Why are you in your room playing games all day? That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I grew up and I wrote a book about gaming and a
I
lot of
call
my
that a
gaming
success
knowledge.
story, okay?
Right?
Gaming for gamers.
I'm
Your
making money from it.
success.
You
Look
won.
at that.
Nicely done.
Take that, parents.
Take
I'm
that.
kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, I hope all those things come true.
Amazing. I hope they do too. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for talking about dragons with me and all your lovely new books. They are all available now to go purchase. And thank you for joining Book Party. We had a great time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
So
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
gotta-
night. Thank you,
Right.
everyone. Come back next month for our next book party.
Good
All
night.
right. Good night.
bye.